and gentlemen, let's be honest, gentlemen, no women are watching this show, but welcome to the April 14th meeting of the Save Point Society. I'm Brandon, joined here by I don't think my cameras are looking the same as yours. So Shon, wave, say hi. Shon's our gamer this evening.
How you doing?
Corbin's going to be keeping an eye on chat, and the esteemed Dr. Max will be keeping me in line. He'll be in charge of the fact checking this evening. Gentlemen, how we doing?
I'm esteemed.
I thought facts checking was illegal now.
It turns out
nobody's
on this
watching
channel,
this, so it doesn't matter.
There you go.
You don't own this.
Shon, you're the gamer this evening. Why don't you give us a heads up on what we're playing tonight?
Yes, we are playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate? Future? Something along those lines? Basically, it is a roguelite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games. Roguelites are fun, one of my favorite genres, and the Ninja Turtles are the best. So, best of both worlds.
Oh, we got a follow from Colorado Southpaw. Weird. We'll take Nico follows.
Huh. Absolutely, we will. Excellent. Well, I mean, we are all children of the. I believe we're all children of the '80s. I don't know quite how ancient Max is, but I'm pretty sure we all are. So we all grew up with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right?
Oh yeah.
We did. I remember the very first. I remember when it very, very, very first came out. When I was very much a child of the '80s. Corbin, you're about my age, right?
No, I'm like 10 years younger than you.
It's a lie. Two mustaches on this stage are both similarly. So, this came out when I was a kid. It was a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of Ninja Turtles made complete and perfect sense to me. There was no questions asked. The premise was completely bought into, and I ate this up like crazy. Every toy I could get my hands on, couldn't get enough of it.
Like your parents, to go every Christmas, they'd have to wait in line to get the newest one, or the van, or the blimp.
Mm-hmm.
It was an awesome time.
The Technodrome.
I had the Keeper Shooter car, truck.
Nice.
Assault vehicle thing. That thing was rad.
I guess the important thing now is which turtle should I play as?
Oh yeah, let's get this going. Well, who's your favorite, Shon?
Well, I'm here now.
Michelangelo was always my favorite, but I've been playing him a lot, so I'm open for
You know who my favorite is? Cakeup420 for following us.
Oh, baby.
Oh.
Thank you, Jacob.
I'm sure he's got a soft cat he would like to show us.
I'm partial to Leonardo, Shon. That was always my boy.
Okay.
Shon, you think he gave us that follow from his couch?
I love it when I feel smarter.
Better not have.
I think my favorite. I was definitely a Raphael kid. I don't know if that's
surprising.
Is
That
it?
trap.
You've known me for a couple decades.
I had you as a Donatello, Mark.
Exactly.
I get that. Was not a Donatello Mark. It was fine. He's fine. He had a stick as a weapon. The Psy were way cooler. That was as practical as I thought they were as a second grader when this. I think this came out about when I was in second grade.
But did you ever play the original Nintendo version?
Yes, absolutely.
Donatello was an absolute Chad in the Nintendo version. He was the only one worth it.
Yeah, everyone else sucked in that game.
Especially Raph. And don't get me wrong, Raphael is cool but rude. So we enjoy him here. We stand Raphael. But my God, he was garbage in the original Nintendo release. He was terrible.
Yeah.
You were doing a little Psy spin. Yeah, no good. No good.
Him and Mike were both pretty bad.
Yeah.
Because Mike was
all about range.
Arc. Yeah.
Yeah. It was all about range in those games, and Donatello was just, there was no touching him. He was the king.
All right. So who am I going as?
You can pick whoever. It's your game. You pick whoever you want.
See, Jacob, I'm with you. Leo was my guy when we were kids.
Okay.
He's going to take the sword dork. All right, Jacob, fine.
All right.
God, he's not a hip sword.
Jacob just wants to play sword in the subway.
That's right, especially Leonardo. All right, Shon, you're playing swords. Let's do this.
Playing swords. Let's see, what kind of artifact do I have?
What's an artifact? Is that because this is a roguelike, right?
Yeah. So it's you get a special item that gives you You know, like this one gives you 10% double select chance with selecting flame powers, guarantees your next. So basically, it's guaranteeing you'll get a flame like boon if you played like the Hades games, like.
Right. These are like the things you would select before each run in Hades.
Yeah.
So for someone
question
who's never
here.
played Hades, what is it?
Is it roguelite or roguelike?
Those are technically both things. So a roguelite, a roguelike, typically you start over and you don't carry over any progress from your prior run.
That's in reference to like a game, like a rogue game.
Rogue, I think, was the game, yeah.
Okay.
A roguelite, and Duraneth would be able to... Yeah, Duraneth said this is basically Hades with mutants, that is correct. And Duraneth, correct me if I'm wrong, a roguelike, you basically, every run is fresh, you don't carry over any progress from the runs. And a roguelite, you typically get some kind of power up or some kind of progress or benefit from your prior runs that carries over. So if you're, bad at video games like we are, then a roguelite is better for you because you can at least gain some progress on each run.
Yeah.
I very much appreciate you explaining all of that, and I didn't understand it, but it's okay. We can move on.
Roguelite just seems like an arcade. You put money in, you play your game, you get your ass kicked, and then you start over.
That's an analogy I can get behind.
Right.
See, 5 understands. He's here with us. Bad at video games? You rang?
Right, so you're gonna buy one of these items here, and then go swing some swords.
Yeah. Let's kick it off. Let's see this thing in action.
All right, let's see. Boost for
And Judas, yes, this game came out about
fairly
6 months
recently.
ago.
Oh shit.
Uh-oh, Draneth's gonna... I'm wrong. Shit. I thought I had it. I was so confident, though. Can't you just believe me? I was so confidently wrong.
Hey,
I
fact
think
checkers
it's
here.
your fault that I didn't understand it.
That's fair. My first episode in the moderator position, and we're just crashing and burning immediately.
No, we haven't even taken
No.
off yet.
To be
Crash
expected.
at the end of the runway here. Well, first we had about 2 hours worth of like audio issues.
Feral rats, take 'em out.
Right, so so it just kind of drops you into a dungeon-like area. You go around, you kill stuff, you gather things. Is that the basic premise here?
Yeah. You clear a room, and basically you get like another power up or an item. Like this one, I could get choose between a pizza box, get some health back, or I could use dreamer coins, which are basically currency used to buy power ups when you die. So at this
there's
point,
like a
dreamer
billion
coin
items, I'm guessing, and like you're gonna have endless power ups. Okay.
And your money carries over from run to run?
Your coins do. Your 2 coins, your dreamer coin and the purple ones. I forgot the other ones. Dragon coins. Those carry over. I don't remember if your scrap does, but I also have a reroll, so I could reroll, and this will change those items.
Cryptocurrency? I don't,
let's go.
We have too many.
Yeah. You want to buy into Dragon Coin?
Geriatric, yes, this game is on Game Pass.
It's not forever, but it'll help.
Let's see. Draneth says Rogue is a dungeon crawler type game from 1980 that used... Is it ASC2 or ASCII characters to represent graphics?
ASCII.
I'm going to correct myself. It is not on Game Pass.
Oh.
I was saying, it is. Damn it. I bought it for nothing.
The theme of this stream is confidently wrong, my friend. We're going to go with our gut on our answers, and we're just going to do that. That's what we're going with for the rest of the show.
The worst part is I trusted you to tell me the difference between a roguelite and a roguelite game.
I was so positive that I was right. I really believed myself. Let's see, roguelike were just other games. We're like Rogue in basically the same way, like how games used to be called Doom-like, etc. Gotcha, okay.
This is definitely not
Other
you.
boomer shooters.
This is, you'll notice these are not ASCII characters for the graphics. These are slightly better.
So basically, this is Ninja Turtles had a baby with Diablo.
Yeah, it's like a dungeon crawler, but every room you clear, you get a random power-up or currency or what have you.
Okay.
Like, unlike, Diablo, every enemy has a random chance to drop some kind of loot for you. And someone in chat's going to correct me on that, too, whatever. In this one, it's you get a reward when you clear a room.
I think, too, we could double-check this. I don't have that window open, but... Shon, you might be the #1 streamer of this game right now on Twitch.
Damn right.
There is,
might be true.
Well, you're the fact checker, unfortunately, so we're in a dangerous
Oh,
spot.
that's right. That's my job. I forgot my job. I'm not used to this.
Let's. Well, can you do both? Can you be running the stream and also doing that?
We're gonna find out.
Oh yeah.
Find out. Oh, let's see. Where's the game we're looking for? It's the Shredder's Revenge.
Oh, Judas is
no,
jumping in and...
There's one other playing with 10 viewers, so that is...
What?
Oh! No, it's a different one, though. It's, No, of this game.
Turtle Power.
You are number 1 right now, Sean. I think you're the only one.
Hell yeah.
Number
Damn
1.
right.
Champion by default is the best way to be a champion.
I know, right?
Doesn't matter, still got belts.
SPS has been live for 2 to 3 streams, approximately, and we're already number 1 in the category. Can't beat that, boys. Can't beat that.
Yeah.
This is pretty,
It's a meteoric rise,
steamed
let's be
group.
honest.
It meteoric, yes.
Yeah.
Good word.
No, this is not Shredder's Revenge. This is Splintered Fate? Splintered Futures?
Yes.
Splintered
Yeah.
Fate, I think.
That other one, Splinter's Revenge, or Shredder's Revenge,
There's
is like
another-
an old school beat 'em up. Like that came out recently. It's also very awesome.
Shredder's Revenge was like kind of like a remake or whatever, or not a remake, but like in the vein of the old like was it the Super
Turtles in
Nintendo or original
Time.
Nintendo? That like
Yeah,
Turtles
both
arcade
of them.
game, right?
Yeah, I got it behind me.
Yeah. Oh, is that what that is? I was gonna ask you what that arcade game was back there. That's what that is.
Yeah.
Huh. It was Destiny, baby.
Someone's losing money.
That, and it was like I bought that during the pandemic, and basically, I always said when I become an adult, I wanted to own that arcade game. And
Hell yeah.
I got the one version of it, so it worked out.
So I know in like in Hades you had a bunch of different weapons that you could level up and whatnot. Do the turtles have like variations on their weapons, or can you make their weapons stronger, or have you gotten in, like far enough into the game to know that yet?
So I don't think you can make the weapon stronger, but each turtle has their own tool. So I guess each turtle is technically their own weapon, like Hades, because they all kind of play different. Like the swords are different from the bow staff and that kind of stuff. But they also each start with their own unique weapon. I think
Okay.
Leo's is Shuriken's, and then I picked up a different one. You can choose different ones. Like it'll be a random drop, and I chose smoke bombs because I'd actually never seen it before. I was like, oh, give those a whirl. So
Nice.
I'm going to give myself a fact check. Do you have to say bow staff every time, or can it just be bow?
Just
I think
bow?
you say staff. I think that's.
Does anybody just say that's
I
weird?
need to know. Most
I think
used,
staff or bow staff.
the most used martial arts staff is called a bow or a bow staff. So I guess both are true. And that's according to the AWMA, which seems
It's the American Wrestling.
like it sells a lot of bow
Mechanics
staffs. They
Association.
sell bow
Yeah.
Not
staffs.
here for long.
Wow.
Buy one.
Well, $60. You could buy a.
Drana says bow is
Wow.
acceptable, and I'm not getting fact checked again, so bow is fine. You can say bow whenever you want.
You can buy
Oh,
a
chain lightning.
$200
Always
Jake
good.
Priestley dual
What I do
illuminator
next
bow
will
staff.
shock you.
Well, why haven't you bought one yet? Go buy one from that pawn shop guy. He's got to
Oh,
have one
definitely.
floating around in there.
Wait, Corbin,
Oh,
you
he's
did a bunch of
definitely
karate growing up.
not
Did you ever
sketchy.
have to buy a competition bow staff?
Is Corbin
How about
muted?
chain lightning? Sorry.
Bring more scrap.
No, Corbin, are you muted?
I'll bring
Sure
more
was.
provisions.
I'm sure you've been providing good insights in the meantime. Did you have to go buy a competition bow staff?
I didn't buy a competition one, but I did have one.
What color was
Like
it?
I had a bow, but it was not a like competition one. I still have a pair of nunchucks somewhere in my closet.
Do you think you can rip those out and just start tearing through them? Do you think you could just
Great
go-
idea. Right by your girlfriend.
Just like as close to the computer as I can get in case I
Yeah.
lose control and hit my monitor.
Sean, how accurate have you found the hitboxes to be in this game?
They're okay. They're
Yeah.
not terrible.
Okay.
There's somewhere I'm like, like my biggest complaint is the hit detection. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I got hit by something. Like you look up
Yeah.
and you have a big chunk of like health hit missing. I'm just like, especially with these boss battles, or if there's like just a bunch of shit on screen.
The same people
Is
who made
Leatherhead
this
a-
made Castlevania 1. Got it. Most perplexing hitboxes ever.
I think
They're up
the
there.
more upsetting thing with Castlevania 1 was the way that just every enemy is positioned to knock you off a ledge immediately.
Yeah.
Is Leatherhead a classic? Ninja Turtles
Oh,
villain? Is he? Okay.
Yes.
He is not springing to mind or like immediately for me, but
He was definitely in a TV show. He had the cowboy hat.
Yeah, kind of think.
oh, that sounds more familiar. You told me an alligator and a cowboy hat. Now I'm on board.
Yeah,
to fight
he was
back
very
some
Cajun.
Actual Cajun, right?
I thought that was.
Down.
I thought
Yeah.
Casey Jones was the Cajun.
Stay down,
Oh no,
Yeah,
this guy
he's
was.
definitely the Cajun.
No, he's a
Yeah.
New York guy who's like
That's
a
right.
hockey dude. He's like, oh, hey, how you doing? Slap a puck in your face, you mush.
Hey, hey, oh, hey.
Way.
Going to the docks.
Have
We're
some
gonna look at something
gabagool.
different now. Get out of the sewers. Go to the docks.
Oh,
Going to the dash.
Casey Jones is a DLC character. I just haven't bought him, so just FYI.
Well, you might want to get on that.
Should.
Yeah, the people are here for Casey. Definitely a Rangers fan. Dranith, I did not realize the Rangers missed the playoffs this year.
Oh yeah,
How did that happen? They were like, what, 2 or 3?
I like the health. Health's nice.
Question done.
So, oh, actually, there was. I took a screenshot of it earlier, because everyone here. So this is the first time in NHL history that the original 4 U.S. teams have all missed the playoffs at the same time. It's never happened that
Wow.
Detroit, Boston, Chicago, and the Rangers have all missed the playoffs in the same year. First time ever.
That's
Isn't that
crazy.
Depressing.
Pretty wild, right?
Sort of
Did
metaphor
everybody
for present
just
age.
tell him to get good?
Max, have you talked to Steve Yzerman to ask him to get good?
Dude, I've been calling him, and that guy has a heck of a block on his phone. He has like one of those Google Fi assistants, and you call, and it's all AI, and it starts talking to you, but it won't let you through.
Dude, I'm rooting
Buddy
for the
Jake
Yzer
did that to
plan.
us. We had that game where we just call each other at like 3 in the morning to talk, and he actually put
Oh.
our friend put an AI assistant to block our calls on his phone. Sup, homies from Delish. I think I know what that
that-
means.
Yes. Griffin's phone got hacked. Wow. I know he said hijacked, but I'm just shortening it to hacked.
Hello, Lish.
Same thing. Same thing.
Yeah. So, Sean, have you played a lot of this? You're kind of dominating.
All right.
Is this a newer game for you, Sean, or have you played a lot of this?
Played a little bit.
Okay.
It definitely scales though.
Just naturally a pro gamer. Got it.
Yeah. No.
He's just everything that we wish we could be.
Well, I'm just used to. I noticed you haven't died like 20 times in the first 10 minutes, so I'm just. I'm
And is that like,
unclear.
typical for a roguelike? You are dead like a million times.
So I
That
think
could be
yeah, like
brutal.
Wait, roguelite or
Like this
roguelite?
case.
I still. Which one did I use correctly or incorrectly?
Just pick one. I don't think it's wrong.
Roguish.
there you go.
Roguesque.
Like permadeath was like a big thing in roguelike.
Rogue
Something like your character was dead. And you'd start a fresh one. But I completely have no faith in my opinion anymore. So
Now he's starting to get hurt.
he's getting beat up a little bit.
Yeah.
You starting
See,
to
it
struggle?
turned
You starting to struggle,
really quick.
Sean?
In
Well, I
all
thought that
fairness,
was
I think
it.
that Brandon might have jinxed us.
Yeah, I mean that's, dude. That is the hallmark of our channel.
Roguelike games are pretty brutally difficult. Okay.
I will use this.
All right. Well, I by the end of the stream, I hope to understand what the difference is.
Well, that
I'm not
big
gonna
red
fact check
skull
it, I need you
heading
guys.
into this room is probably good.
I just fought one of those assholes, and he
Yeah.
kicked my ass a bit. That's what made me lose all the health. And now I have to fight the mini boss version of it. Thanks. Oh yeah, and in these games too, the enemies are always different. Like
Oh,
they're kind of like random spawns and number, like which ones and all that stuff.
do the bosses? Do
Like-
you know if the bosses stay in order?
The main bosses do.
Okay.
When
Like
are you guys
Hades.
playing Noida? I don't know what that one is. Does anybody know what that one is?
Oh, I know what that
kind-
one is.
Yeah,
I tried
think. Is it a Metroidvania game? I feel like it is. 5 is that? Is it a Metroidvania?
I guess I'll look it up.
Yeah, I know it's like pixel art. Just lots of deaths, he says. Excellent. It's right up my alley with the nonsense games that I play.
Nice. Let's put this scrap to good use.
Come one, come
How do you spell that?
Just a shortstop.
Noita.
NOI.
It was written in chat.
Noida. Yeah,
Noida.
Oh, okay, I've seen this graphic.
Boy,
Yeah.
it's been on Game Pass a lot. Might still be on it. Who knows?
Yeah, five stars, 70,000 reviews on Steam. That's pretty insane.
Draneth, those are just words you slap together. That's not a game description. A Magic Effect sandbox level destruction game. Get out of here.
Gets the job done.
Don't actually leave. We need all the chatters we can get, but we have to maintain our supremacy in this gaming category.
What do we got on the docket tonight?
So,
moderator.
I kept waiting for Shon to struggle, but he's just not doing it.
No.
He's just dominating. So he never gave me. He's not giving me the in that I was looking for. But what led me to my first article here actually was I saw, just scrolling on my phone, just your ordinary doom scrolling, and I saw a Ben Zinga article of all things that says the title of the art. It was clickbait and it grabbed me. It got me.
Not
it said
from
Joe
Ben
Rogan
Zinga.
says there's a bizarre connection between the government and the people. It's no longer just for the people by the people. So I was like, oh god, what is So I had to know. I was like, what does the greatest living philosopher Joseph Q. Rogan have to say about this? And
again.
It's just a guy who listens and asks questions.
That's it. He just asked questions.
Great.
By the way, quick diversion there. Douglas Murray was just on the Joe Rogan Experience, just on the podcast, and he calls him out to his face, and it's beautiful.
Who's Douglas Murray?
Douglas Murray is a conservative author.
Thank you.
He's, I think he wrote for the Telegraph and a couple of other
Esteemed publications.
So-
But did he ever write for Bazinga?
It's Ben Zinga. Thank you very much.
I just opened his website. It looks like a pop-up, like riddled website from the 90s.
Oh, I think it's it might be like a tech bro, like what's the word I'm looking for here? Like a rag, I can't think of the right word here. Tabloid. I think it's like a tech bro tabloid kind of thing.
Okay. Okay.
But anyways, so if you get a chance, it's very satisfying to watch this journalist. Even you don't have to agree with him, but he takes down Rogan and that douchebag Dave Smith to their faces, and it's glorious to watch. So if you have 3 hours that you don't have any use for, just put that on in the background at work. It's nice. It's an entertaining watch.
I don't think I'd want to have to listen to Joe Rogan for 3 hours.
You're listening for Douglas Murray. Just tone out Joe and listen to Douglas Murray destroy them. But anyway, sorry, not to sidetrack my own article. But the author paraphrases Rogan's premise in this as, if your rent, food, and healthcare are all provided by the state, and you never have to earn it or contribute meaningfully to your community, where does your sense of purpose come from? The author goes on to quote Joe as saying, people need struggle, they need purpose, and they need to build things. If that's gone, and now all of a sudden they just have a check, who are they? And that's it's a more interesting question than I think Joe is making it seem.
Okay.
So
Joe Rogan was just asking questions in a lame way.
I'm saying Joe was accidentally deeper than he meant to be. Go ahead. What do you guys? What's your immediate reaction to that premise?
Well, I mean, Judas said that he would rather headbutt a knife than listen to Joe Rogan. So, I mean, I feel like that's a pretty good barometer.
I mean, that's struggling, to be certain. I don't know that you're going to derive much purpose from it, but it is a sign of struggle.
So I think if I read what you said correctly, it's sort of the idea that struggling gives your life meaning.
So, yeah, this...
Is that sort of a summary of what he was trying to get at?
I think so, yeah. So my first thought was, well, what kind of, how can we prove whether this claim of his is true or not? Well, you can't, it's a philosophical claim. You can't really provide evidence for it. But in the dude bro manosphere podcast zone, there's competing areas of philosophies that I guess they really believe in. The number one is Stoicism. They really get into Stoicism, and Stoicism basically is that they emphasize you having to endure hardship and adversity, and that is necessary for you to grow. And then the other more extreme version of that philosophy is what's called dolorism, which is where you actually seek
Sean's
out.
down. Sean's down.
Hey, Shon's suffering. You're growing, Shon. Congratulations.
Yeah, apparently, that's the whole point of this game.
Very stoic of you, Shon.
Yeah.
And
But what
dolorism is
you're
where you
supposed
actually
to gain.
seek out suffering and misery, because going through those things is inherently valuable.
So dolor
similar
is a Latin phrase for pain, right?
I believe.
Latin or Greek? I don't remember if it's Latin or Greek. But so dolorism is sort of derived from that. It sounds like.
Friend called 5. One must imagine Sisyphus happy. Yeah, a dolorist or a dolorist, I guess, would say that Sisyphus is having the ultimate enjoyable experience because he's in a constant state of suffering and there's never going to be an end to his torment. So
And
that's a fun philosophy.
If Sisyphus really enjoys that in sort of a sexual way, you could say he's a masochist.
Just cranking him out as he's rolling that boulder up the hill, one-handed. Just like,
Judas does not enjoy this philosophy. So, the thing that I don't necessarily disagree that adversity can be beneficial.
Okay. Yeah.
Right, think about what Shon is doing right now, and think about it in the context of why do people play difficult games? Why do people get enjoyment out of that? Because there's a feeling of accomplishment when you overcome a difficult thing.
Okay.
Like, you boys didn't go and practice martial arts because it was like, you didn't have to do that. It's not a thing that you don't encounter street fights on your way to work every day. It's not a necessity to live your life anymore.
You don't know that.
Sorry? I'm guessing.
Corporate
that
he's very
guys
aggressive
today.
on his way to work.
So you went out and you chose a more difficult path than you had to. Why?
Well, because I wanted to learn to beat people up.
But there's something to attain there. There's some kind of some kind of meaning, or there's some kind of benefit that you can derive from it that isn't just gained from pure pleasure. Like hedonism would be the opposite of dolorism. So
That's
just
pretty fun though. Hedonism is pretty fun.
Oh, I'm not gonna fight you on that.
Okay,
So I don't think that.
I
Go ahead.
think though. I mean, to get to your other question of like, is there, like, what do we think? What's their like general impression? I mean, I think there's something to that we do seek out challenges. We do like to solve problems. We do those sort of things. I wonder if Joe Rogan's guest is more of a. It has to be more pain and suffering versus just difficulty related. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and I
guess
so. The whole pain and suffering thing, or like deriving meaning from difficulty or adversity or whatever, that's really, it comes down to what particular thing we're talking about. Like when he talks about the state, if we get to a point where there's, because this article was about AI, is what this article was about, and so it was getting into things like universal basic income, and the idea that eventually there won't be, if robots become advanced enough, there eventually won't be enough jobs to go around.
Oh,
and so it's like, so but I don't understand the idea of like, people don't derive, at least I don't, it doesn't seem to me that you derive a lot of meaning if your rent is hard to pay. Or if, boy, my medicine sure was hard to get this month. Like, that made me feel more fulfilled.
Right.
Like,
no. And now that I'm paused for a second, it's more or less like with the suffering, a challenge is it gives yourself a sensation of like growth, like, oh, I am getting better, I am making progress, I am putting one foot in front of the other. Some people may not recognize the super small ones, they only recognize the big ones, they get frustrated and quit easily. But I think a lot of it, people enjoy it because they do sense that they are getting better at something and accomplishing something. That being said, I mean, if what do you do with these people? Like, you're just gonna have a bunch of people walking around the planet with like nothing to do. You think people are gonna be like that? No, people are gonna find something they want to do. Yeah, people are gonna find something that gives them passion, and they're gonna pursue it.
Right, and that's sort of the. I 100% agree with you. Like, that's sort of the. It kind of tells you a little bit about the mentality of people like that, who they derive a lot of their identity from their work. And they don't necessarily have passions that exist outside of that. Not to say I know nothing about Joe Rogan as a person. He can have whatever passions he wants.
I do.
Well, yeah, well, but my
I don't think he's very,
But the point there is that your like work and like having to basically scrounge together income to survive, that saying that you're deriving all of your meaning from that, it's like, well, do you not have any passions or hobbies? Or like there are artists out there who can't be artists because they're struggling. They're putting in 60 hours a week to pay their damn rent.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing that, as you mentioned, your example was like, why do you play a difficult game? You know, because the benefit is you beat it and you have this increased sense of satisfaction. But, you know, living and existing at or below the poverty level because you have to is different than choosing to challenge yourself in ways that are not like dangerous and or threatening to your well-being all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so and Five just said the exact thing. You're choosing to play the difficult game. Yeah.
Right.
So you are on the same wavelength as our. Griffin's there with you. It's not fulfilling in the least. It's sort of, not to get to adjust my tinfoil hat here, but it really does sometimes feel like you're trying to make people who are going through a struggle in their life with things that they really shouldn't have to struggle with. You're trying to make them feel like it's a noble cause that they're doing, rather than being upset about the. Yeah, rather than being upset about the hand that they've been dealt, or wondering why we don't, as a society, do things to help them move up. Oh no, it's a noble thing to struggle.
Yeah, it's enjoy your struggle at the bottom of the social pyramid. Thanks for holding it up.
Yeah, it's if you're electing to go through these things, I can understand where they're coming from. But when you start applying it to basic needs, shelter, food, healthcare, it breaks down for me pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. One of the real philosophers on this was our good friend Friedrich Nietzsche. Everyone loves reading him. Oh, Griffin is not happy.
Now, is that the way we're supposed to say it?
You know what? Why don't you?
I'm on
I know you can look up. Yeah, fact check that pronunciation. I know you can pull up videos on YouTube and they'll tell you. Fried rice Nietzsche, I believe, is how you pronounce it. Shout out to H Bomber guy, the guy who made that joke originally. He posits that hardship and joy are interlinked. So if you diminish one, you diminish the other.
Nietzsche.
I don't know why I said it in Italian.
Nietzsche.
I'm gonna agree.
It's me, Friedrich Nietzsche. So we kind of already
agree with your statements, by the way.
Yeah. we have a native Italian in the
Mamma mia, Frederick
in the chat. Yeah. Hello from Calabria, Jacob. Welcome to the chat.
So okay, you gave us this article beforehand.
Oh yes, please vent away.
No, go ahead and introduce it. Then I'm going to.
So what I was trying to do. The problem is when you're looking up anything like philosophy related, unless you go to like a philosophy dictionary, there are just so many people out there who have, and I mean, and we're guilty of it right now, right? Or at least I am. I'm the one who brought it up. There's so many people out there who are just love having an opinion on these things, and so you get a lot of. All I was really trying to do was find where did this come from? Where did this start to gain popularity? And it looks like a lot of this traces back to Nietzsche in, I think it's the early 1900s. I know it's over 100 years ago that he was first positing things like that hardship and joy are linked, and that from great adversity or from great struggle, that's where the greatest human triumphs come from, or where our greatest works come from. And so that article was on, this is another, let's see, the marginalian.org. It was a .org, so I thought maybe it won't be so bad. And then Max got in there, and I will to you, sir.
I mean, look, the Marginalian, at least the website is less schizophrenically designed. I'll give it that. It was not a series of framed windows from 1996. But yeah, so this, I will say, I think this idea, the topic that you bring up, is very interesting. And
sorry, Max, to interrupt you. Five, get him, Five.
Oh, got a bot. So I think the topic is interesting, and so I think that I like going to like a source philosopher to see what's where some of this came from. the funniest thing about this article was, to me, completely unrelated to the material. The writing in it was so atrocious. It was like freshman year of college writing, using words that we just learned and then applying them. So even aside from the subject material, my favorite was where the writer wrote, let me find it here. Okay, so Nietzsche also believed that hardship and joy operated in a kind of osmotic relationship. Diminishing one would diminish the other. And I wrote, not what osmosis means. Not in a scientific sense, not in a colloquial sense, not at all. Osmosis is just fluid moving across a permeable membrane. Or if you're not talking about science, you're just talking about like absorbing like knowledge, right? None of that. That's not even close. And then this writer said later he was convinced that the most notable human lives reflected this osmosis. You can't use osmosis twice in an article about philosophy.
What are you talking about?
Once. If you use it correctly, that's it.
No, he just used it twice. He can absolutely do that.
I circled the second time and I wrote, "See me after class."
It sounds stupid, but I mean, he still did it.
And then I couldn't pay attention to the article anymore because I kept writing. He got a word of the day calendar. He's using it. Damn it! He's going to use this word.
It's like the peel off like word of the day. Yeah, love it.
So well, and then it was kind of funny too, like because later he was like saying that Nietzsche, was like turning to these other philosophers that Nietzsche really looked up to and admired. And so he kept pulling quotes from these other people, like, who was this guy? Schopenhauer?
Oh, yeah, okay.
And he has this, like, 5-sentence quote that he puts in there about Nietzsche, like, talking about how much he enjoyed this guy's book. And I'm like, that has nothing to do with your topic. Why are you quoting this? You looked up a resource, you had the source, and you're like, I'm putting it in the article. I looked it up and read it. I'm going to make it valuable. And so then he's quoted another time where Nietzsche just said, I don't agree with that guy. And I was like, do you even remember, writer, what your original topic was? You were so far afield.
It was all over the place. I admittedly, like, I started reading the article and I was like, okay, I'm getting some of Nietzsche's stuff, and that's really all that I wanted. And then I stopped reading like 3 paragraphs in, and then I went back to it yesterday and looked at it again. I was like, this is some of the most insane, like, babbling. It bounces all over the damn place. Yeah. So,
but the writer aside, I think. So I think kind of the interesting part about at least the idea of like deriving meaning from toil and all that sort of thing is we're hearing it from those guys who are jumping on Joe Rogan, who have these big audiences and they make tons of money just spouting nonsense, and those are generally the people who are like, yes, I think toil is a noble profession. Everybody should toil. Not me, but
right. No, never you.
No,
right.
Everybody. You mostly.
Yeah, but the toil of someone making $35,000 a year is a lot different than the toil of Joe Rogan getting up early to get in an ice bath and then go have his personal trainer workout session. And like that kind of toil, that kind of struggle is a lot different than somebody who's, a single mom to get 3 kids to school and then go and work 2 jobs for. Like, it's just... It's really
comparable.
Yeah, it's not even patronizing. It's just stupid.
Yeah. Well, and maybe it's a question of degrees. I mean, you don't have to. I think it's a thing. You don't have to toil every second of your life for survival. I mean, people live shorter lives when they do that.
Right.
But to toil a bit along the way is probably healthy. It's probably healthy.
Right. And I think that it does come down to. Not always. I don't want to say always, but definitely elected or chosen struggle versus like pursuing a difficult task that you have some kind of control over versus we kind of go in circles a little bit here versus just struggling to get your basic needs met. And it's a world of difference. One really interesting example from that article actually was the one from Anais Nin, which her quote was, great art was born of great terrors, great loneliness, great inhibitions, instabilities, and it always balances them. That actually is something that I kind of agree with, is that going through great struggles, or at least having like these kind of experiences, is what produces great works of art.
I think that's true. also
my
think
immediate.
that Right
Go ahead.
comment is amazing.
Oh, let's see. Everyone should just osmosis struggle into their lives and osmosis success to each other. I use it twice. Theory broken. I mean, now there are 2 people who have used osmosis twice.
See, you can do it. There's nothing wrong with
Yeah.
it. It sounds great.
Better.
Max is being buried like he's playing Castlevania 1. Like, that's how much Griffin just absolutely annihilated him. Sorry, but my example when it comes to the art stuff is I really dislike modern country music for a lot of reasons.
Nice.
Well, in all fairness,
That's fair. Yeah.
country music died in the 80s. Like, I don't care what anybody says. It died
like-
in the 80s.
With your Chris Christophersons, Johnny Cash, like
Yes, Willie Nelson.
your outlaw,
Mosifus.
Everything now just sounds like pop
Merle
music.
Haggard,
Like real bad pop music.
and that
Hey,
is
I
kind
got
of
an
my.
achievement.
Nice.
Hell yeah! What'd you achieve, Sean?
I beat that boss apparently for the first time.
And you did it with Raph, my man.
You beat off that boss. Good work, man.
I mean,
He's a
yes,
dude
for it.
that's cool but rude.
You don't like country
But like,
music?
so I have we'll just say a family member who really enjoys modern country music, but the songs are like.
Is that family member you, Brittany?
Shut up. It's no, it's not me.
Streets.
But the song, like some of the songs are like, I want to roll my windows down and cruise, and it's like, what? This music doesn't mean anything. Like, I'm not saying there isn't a place for like party music, but it's just so.
There's no substance to it.
Exactly.
At best, it captures a vibe. You know. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not my vibe. I don't.
Agreed.
I mean, Johnny Cash is as close to country as I ever get. But Johnny Cash had, that wasn't just a vibe. He was a vibe. So to speak,
People like to
but,
drink outside, says Jacob. That's why it exists. I agree.
That is probably a fair distillation of country music. But I guess that if you want to call it art, I suppose it is to a degree. It's not my kind of art, but if I grew up in that sort of setting and that was like nostalgic, and I wanted to drive around with my windows down and have a pickup truck or something, I don't know if you derive great meaning from that sort of music, but I guess that's why you listen to it. I think I'm a field of your initial point, but
Sorry. So what I'm trying to say is, or I didn't actually get to this part of it, but it was that songs like that, like I enjoy, like garbage vibes music too. I love TikTok by
didn't
Kesha.
you and
That
I
is
go
one of my.
to two Andrew WK concerts back-to-back nights before?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we did.
Like there is, I will indulge in some like garbage pop, terrible, nothing music too. I will. It's fun, but that music is not like you're not gonna listen to that 20 years from now. I'm not gonna be still listening to Kesha. That's not gonna happen.
Friends in low places, though.
You sure about that? I think you will be.
Well, I might be, but that's just because I'm, who I am. But in general, like, there's a reason that like the great artists that create timeless music are talking. Typically, the subjects they're covering are something that's darker or about some kind of struggle, or even things like Springsteen's "Born in the USA." It's a timeless song. I don't know that I'd say it's about struggle, but the subject matter is meaningful.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. I think if you're talking about long-lasting, so-called great art, I mean, usually most of the stuff I can think of comes from, as you mentioned, some sort of struggle. I mean, unless...
So, I guess to jump off of that, how would you say that Juvenile's Back That Ass Up applies to that theory?
Do you think people are still going to be listening to that song in 20, 30, 40 years?
I have a weird
Honestly,
feeling that people probably will be. And
Dude.
it'll probably be blasting at some like nursing home, like ice cream social.
Brandon, Limp Bizkit is popular again. That's all you need to know.
But it's a little ironically popular, right? Or it's like a nostalgia pop.
No,
It's legit,
dude,
like,
it's
popular.
like legit, like Gen Z and Gen Alphas are at their shows. Like,
Okay, but-
legitimately. it's
but
wild.
They're summing up Coachella. They're headlining
Those-
Coachella and shit.
Those are both garbage generations of people, so their opinions don't count. We don't want you in here, young people.
Don't listen to them.
We're,
Yeah,
we love
well,
you. Watch me-
everybody's welcome
Watch me
here.
play
except
Ninja
for-
Turtles. I'm playing Ninja Turtles.
Here's an interesting look. Apropos of this game, great art coming from Leonardo.
God.
you know, Donatello, Raphael, Michelangelo. But was it made of great struggle? Or was it just they were so damn good, it's still there?
And that's actually a fair point. One of the things that I noted in my outline here is that I'm not arguing that you have to go through. Like, that struggle is like a causative, but there does seem to be a correlation
Frequent
there.
correlation. And correlation does imply causation.
Yeah. There are, you know, artists who probably will endure the test of time, who maybe didn't go through, or at least they didn't go through, like, the kind of thing we're thinking about when it comes to struggles. I don't know that you would say that, like, the Beatles were, like, a struggle band ever. I don't know. I don't know enough about their story.
I think later they were.
Well, with, like, drugs and stuff, right? But...
Yeah, no, I get you.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah.
I think that there's definitely something to be said that, like, a lot of the great art does come with the toil. But some of it stands on its own. It's just so darn good. But then again, that, you know, the original point here was: is the toil, is the difficulty, a worthwhile exercise to create meaning? And I think a lot of people derive meaning from great art. Like, great art gives them meaning. So,
well, and like, think about...
things seem interestingly related.
Well, like, memorable stories and stuff. It's like in the great stories, Mr. Frodo. It's the stories that, like, are you know, timeless, or that, like, relate to the most people. It's not going to be like Miley Cyrus's, like, Hannah Montana movie. Like, it's just not going to be that way. It's going to be stories about struggle, and those are the ones where people overcome a difficult thing. That's where people get attracted to, or what people, you know, remember or continue to indulge in. So I can see the point. I can see what they're saying. But rather than just, I was like, okay, I've painted myself into a corner now, because I've been trying to argue a point on a completely subjective subject matter. And I was trying to find a way to quantify this, or to have some kind of, like, testable measure, something that I could point to and say, this is where meaning comes from, or...
Sure.
And the best I could do was I found a Frontiers in Psychology study this is from 2022, so fairly recently. And they reference, it's FLS. I think it's the Fulfilled Life Scale. Let me... Can you Google, like... Can you Google FLS Life Scale or something like that real quick, Max? I just want to make sure that I'm getting that acronym right.
I'm going to use web crawler if that's okay.
That's perfect.
I'm asking Jeeves. Hold on.
Please. Jeeves is an old friend of mine.
The development and initial validation of the Fulfilled Life Scale.
Okay, yes. I just needed the acronym. I just wanted to...
Okay, yep. Fulfilled Life Scale.
Okay, so it's what they use to kind of... So basically, this study, because again, we're talking about fulfillment, so it's inherently subjective, right? Like, this is what one person finds fulfilling, others might not, but they were trying to find commonalities. And they specifically titled it a mixed method study on lay perspectives across the lifespan. So lay perspective being, of course, these are the perspectives of ordinary folks who are not in any way trained to, like, trained in psychology.
Bizkit concerts would be lay folks.
Yeah, big time Limp Bizkit fans, probably Kesha fans. Not the most culturally or psychologically. Anyways, you're never going to believe this. The researchers concluded that fulfillment is, of course, a construct, and it's multidimensional, and it considers both cognitive and affective experiences. Participants do mention, a number of participants did mention adversity, but they always mentioned it in the context of being able to endure, so kind of that stoicism route, or to bounce back from adverse events. That's what when people refer to adversity as a thing that helps them derive fulfillment, they are always referring to the sense of being able to come back from it or endure it. So if it's an adversity that, you know, brings you down or causes you to crash out, that's not a thing that you derive any kind of fulfillment from. It has to be something that you overcome.
Okay, gotcha.
So they're kind of... Go ahead, John.
I was gonna say, I have no idea how I'm alive. Look how much health I have.
I was
You are overcoming adversity,
He's
my friend.
taking after Max and having no health going into the...
Agility, baby.
All right, I can buy health. I'm good.
Not way down with all that life.
Gentlemen, I will be right back. I gotta go feed a cat because he's harassing me.
Tell him hi.
Katie.
So you
Very
keep
important.
doing that, and I'll be back in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, go for it.
Can you focus the camera on your cat pillow while you're gone? Oh,
wait.
Well, as long as we
Shon
can see
fell
it.
through the map.
I broke the game.
You broke the game.
Broke the game.
Hang on, we're gonna pause until Shon figures this out. You got this, buddy.
I
There it is.
do got it.
Try doing that out of the pipe. Let's see if it'll spit you out. Oh,
Hey.
Mamma Mia!
Hey.
Call. I'm
I
like,
think
oh,
it was
I
supposed
broke
to do that. Do it again.
it.
That was pretty amazing.
Oh shit.
What?
Now I'm not sure if you're supposed to be able to do this. Wait.
Did I find a
What?
secret level?
You found Rocksteady, and Rocksteady is my boy.
Oh Jesus, he's got a chainsaw. Bebop's hardcore. What the fuck?
What, you're fighting them both?
Wait, Shon, did you just find a way to speedrun this game?
Maybe. I don't know.
We're the #1 streamers, and also about to have the #1 speedrun.
That's pretty excellent.
I gotta survive now.
I'm not saying that
pressure,
we're
I've never been
prodigies,
this
but
far.
you got this, Shon. We're not stopping the conversation to watch you play or anything.
No.
By the way, the best part is I didn't spend any currency to upgrade my level from the last death, so this is all just with the new character. Just
Shon, you
you
do
got-
have some competition now, but you're
Oh crap!
a couple of the channels, but you're still ahead.
I gotta say, I am actually impressed with like how faithful to the '80s cartoon these designs are.
Very much so. Very
yeah,
much so.
Yeah.
I love the design. It's great.
Because the turtles have gone through some iterations, my friend. They have gone through some.
So many
Some looks.
crossovers.
Yeah.
I went on a little video game and nostalgia buying trip this last weekend, and a couple of the retro game
Jesus.
stores, etc. had a
Jesus.
ton of Ninja Turtle stuff.
Oh, no, I think it's
Like my
still
buddy
heavy.
was looking for the crossover between Ninja Turtles and Batman, and like Ninja Turtles.
Oh, yeah.
And all this other
Those,
stuff.
there was a
And it
game?
just- I don't know. If it
No,
was a game,
comic.
but there was. Comic.
Oh, God. Okay. Did the Ninja Turtles ever? Did the Ninja Turtles ever cross over with Scooby Doo? They had to, right?
Probably with Batman they did.
I know Batman did. I remember watching that. Like we had a VHS of it at my grandparents' house, and when we would go out there for the summers, my brother and I would watch that VHS on repeat. And I think it was the Joker. There was something about like a pillow factory, some kind of I don't know. I think it was Scooby Doo, but yeah. Sean, are you gonna do? Oh,
That guy just see. I didn't even know what killed me. A random thing just came up.
Hey, Shon, you're dead.
Yeah.
Sean
Yeah, but this is
broke the
making you
level,
better.
and then we lost your train of thought, Corbin. So you didn't miss anything.
no.
Oh, fantastic.
um,
Or was it the fact that I showed you my pussy? Is that what made you guys lose your train of thought?
It's your kitty. It's your kitty.
Yeah, pussy.
he's the one on the pillow back there. Is that the one that we've lost?
Which one? There's
The one that's in your visible in your camera. Over your left shoulder, your camera right, left shoulder.
what the one that I'm pointing at. Over.
Oh
that
no,
way?
other one.
That one.
Yeah,
That's the one that's still alive.
that's Guinness.
That's Guinness.
Correct.
That's Guinness. The Guinness is still with us.
Guinness is still here.
Yeah.
He's gonna be 18 in
Oh my
September.
god. It's gonna go buy him some smokes.
Yep.
Yeah, he can
Will
can legally vote. Like,
Can you take
Six
your cat to the corner store and see if you can actually buy some cigarettes?
oh my god, that would be amazing.
Oh, he's 18.
Dranith is impressed by the age of your cat.
Maybe I'll see if he can buy some porn too.
Dranith, how old was your gigantic cat when we lost him? Because I remember you having him, but I don't remember how long it was that we knew each other before. 13, but that was a big boy.
Hmm?
Is Guinness a big cat, Corbin?
Oh, yeah.
Guinness at his heaviest was like 21 or 22 pounds.
Oh, and
Yeah,
so
yeah,
to
he's-
Scotty as well. Yeah.
He was a big boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, our we had the great Milo Scott Bon Jovi, who passed away at 21.
Oh, rest his soul.
This time.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he was that
orange
old.
cat.
I thought he was like 18 when he went.
I thought he made it to 21.
Does Scotty weigh more than both of your current cats combined?
Yes.
Yeah, he did.
100%.
He did. Yep.
That's a tank of a cat.
Thought he was huge too.
Wow.
Rest his angry orange soul.
He liked me for some reason, which was
Yeah,
fucking
no,
weird.
he got pretty mellow in his older age.
show up and he just looked
He
at me
did
and go,
not have a life of toil.
Ow.
I don't know
He
if
did
he
not.
found it not meaningful, but he lived long enough to. I think he at least enjoyed it.
Who's this
Yeah.
guy?
We're about.
Guinness,
Oh,
Guinness
I remember
has
him.
also
Slash?
not lived a life of toil.
No.
That's a big slash. I don't remember him that being that huge.
Yeah, I think he was just more kind of gross in the old show. He wasn't like
Yeah,
crazy huge. He was
It's
just
like
gross.
he was like spiky and stuff and cool looking.
Durana says feline diabetes. Is that what your cat had? Because that's what mine does.
Lanabetus.
He did not. He never did.
Guinness has been diabetic since 2018, and he's still fucking chugging along. It's amazing.
Jacob is correct. That is a Chad turtle.
Oh man. I don't
If
remember.
anybody knows anything about Chads, it's Jacob.
Our native Calabrian Italian in the chat. Jacob 420.
Heart of Tengu.
We're wrapping up this first topic. I'm a white guy in his, approaching middle age, so of course I get into philosophy now. That's just what happens.
Are you wearing a basketball
What
jersey
are you
too?
talking about? We're millennials. All of us were
I'm-
middle-aged at 28.
Well, great segue.
I was gonna say thank you, Barbara. That's actually very kind of you. But I'll wrap it up with the factors that the researchers found most commonly cited by the participants were, as far as achieving or getting fulfillment for your life, were achieving personally meaningful goals, and of course that's highly subjective as what's meaningful for you. Self-development. And then the last two I found more interesting, which were contributing to others and leaving a positive legacy. The authors noted that the last two are self-transcendent. So a lot of the participants noted that things that gave their life meaning were outside of themselves. It wasn't just self-improvement. It wasn't just achieving your own goals. It was doing something for the next generation. It was doing something for your loved ones, your family. And that kind of flies in the face a little bit of this notion of it's all about this overcoming these really difficult obstacles, because that all pertains to the first two. That all pertains, at least in my view, pertains more towards self-development and achieving your personal goals.
Sure.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
I think it's interesting and very. What's the word? It's very not whimsical. It's optimistic to find that people find the most fulfillment out of being good and leaving a nice legacy. I want to believe that. I want to believe that more.
I think that's what people, at least, that's what people
Self-report on a
want
survey.
to. Yeah, that's in their own minds, at least that's what they want to do. And whether or not they achieve that, I guess that in my mind is it's tough to say in this regard, because we're talking about a survey about fulfillment. So I'm with you. I do like that is at least what they're aiming for, or at least what they believe they're aiming for.
Oh, God, I hit hard. Jeez. Sorry.
No, you're good. Jump in, man. Like I said, we're wrapping this one up. I had a couple little last notes here where that people do tend to derive more or arrive at a place of fulfillment as they age, which makes sense. When you're younger, you still have all these things.
That. Dang it.
Yeah.
Since we're
Still
all
have all these things
aging,
you're after. Yeah.
we're so fulfilled right now.
Correct. And then the last thing that was interesting to me, because people tend to arrive at a place of fulfillment later in life, but the authors did note that as far as what people said would be fulfilling, there was very little variance between populations. Age or gender didn't have make a whole lot of difference as far as what people were reporting as what they would find fulfilling. So that was interesting to me. But,
That is pretty interesting.
yeah. So it's a subjective thing. The idea that adversity contributes to a sense of meaning, it seems to align with those, with the goals, with the achieving personally meaningful goals and self-development. That is true. Like you really only get better by overcoming obstacles. That makes sense to me. But there's more to it when it comes to fulfillment. It's not just those things.
Like everything, it's always a never a succinct, easy answer, but a combination of
Yeah.
things. So
Yep.
why are millennials dying?
So, I'm so glad you
Fentanyl.
asked.
It is fentanyl.
Well, that is
not helping.
that is certainly a contributor. You're not wrong there. So, on our last stream, I don't remember how it came up, but I think I mentioned in passing that I had seen or I had heard something about millennials being the first generation to have a lower life expectancy than their priors.
Are we even in the same limits anymore?
Yeah, and we started to banter about it a bit, and then we were like, we've been going for 2 hours and 40 minutes. We want to give this a little more time than trying to cram it into the last couple of minutes of stream. And so I did a little bit of digging, and the first question was, well, is that true? So I went searching to find out, are millennials going to be the first generation with lower life expectancy than prior generations? I will note that in my search, I was seeing articles about Gen Z also possibly having lower life expectancy. So enjoy your youth now. You're going to die too. But
well, I mean, it's fair for everybody. It's just a matter of when.
Right. So I was like, okay, I got to find some studies. I got to find some metrics. I got to find how we're deciding this, because it's all projections, right? It's not, you know, yeah. So the first one that I found, or one of the better ones that I found, was a Blue Cross Blue Shield Association study. This was in 2019, and they have a health index they work from, and in this health index they found that 1/3 of millennials have health conditions that reduce quality of life and life expectancy. They point to things like increased cardiovascular and endocrine conditions, and they relate those to, that it includes diabetes. They also relate that to higher rates of obesity and a sedentary work and lifestyle. Now, endocrine conditions are like hormonal things, correct?
I mean, in a broad sense, that is technically true, yes.
Is that something
the
you can
endocrine system
expound upon, or
involves a hormone signaling system, like hormones in the body that go between different organs to help them talk to each other. That is the endocrine system.
So what kind of things are endocrine conditions? Like what?
Diabetes is one.
Diabetes is probably number one, and then like hypothyroidism, hyperthyroidism, hypo or hyperparathyroidism.
What about
Addison syndrome is also another one. Oh God, what's the other one? I'm totally blanking on it, Max. It's cortisol.
Addison's?
Cushing's.
Oh, Cushing's the other way, yeah.
Yeah.
So the article didn't go into, the reason I'm asking you is because the article didn't go into depth as far as what the conditions were, other than it specifically mentioned diabetes, and then it mentioned higher rates of obesity and sedentary work and lifestyle, which makes sense. You know, we are in an environment where it's an information economy. I work a desk job. I'm pretty sure Shon works a desk job.
Yep.
I think you medical boys are more on your feet than we are, but
okay, 12 hours.
Yeah. So, but the point being that, like, as we move towards more of an information economy and less of a, despite what some tariff pushers might have you believe, we're not a manufacturing society anymore.
No. We will be by 3 months from now. Don't worry.
Of course. Once we get $10 trillion worth of don't. So that's what they point to as far as these are some causes for millennials having a lower life expectancy. A big one that I saw, and this one surprised me a little bit, but then when I thought about it, didn't, was that millennials are much less likely to participate in preventative care. 91% of Gen Xers have a primary care provider. 68% of millennials.
I'm gonna bet that's an access issue. I'm gonna bet that's not so much that it's a issue of millennials not wanting to. Because as somebody who works very closely with underserved populations regarding healthcare, it is not a desire. It is a access issue. Everywhere that I've been, it is an access issue because there's not enough primary care, or it's so tied to people's employment that it is incredibly challenging to get good health insurance to like get primary care. And there's other like financial factors that are going into that are like outside of just those few like bullet points, I guess, or data points, that it's other pressures that like people go, well, I could either pay rent or pay for health insurance. So
did Did the for-profit insurance company study figure out why people didn't have access to health insurance and or their primary care doctor? Did they happen to find that answer? I was looking for it in this. I didn't see it.
They did not. You would never believe that they did not posit a reason. They just said, and that was, so I was surprised by it when I first read it, and then I kind of had the exact same thought process that you just brought up, which was, I'll use this with Bob. Especially in, so 2019 was 6 years ago. It was pre-pandemic at least. But millennials have been through a series of economic catastrophes at this point, and and income levels tend to be lower than previous generations at their same age. And when health insurance is tied to income in so many instances, it's less surprising that they don't have primary care providers. And I don't know what you guys are comfortable sharing. I know that when I was living out of state and I was making essentially no money while I was out chasing adversity, I definitely did not have my primary care provider was if I had to go to the ER. And I don't. Did you guys go through a period like that in your lives where you didn't have like a primary care provider?
Between like 2018 and November of 2024. Yeah.
Shon?
Yeah. Probably when I was working retail, I didn't have health insurance.
Actually, I'm going to retract that. When I was going through grad school, I did have a primary care provider because we had health insurance provided through the university with our tuition. So I did take advantage of that while I was there. But then once I wasn't there, I was like, well, all right, no more health insurance until I get a big boy job.
Now, I know at least in my case, part of it was even when I did have a primary care provider, I wasn't very good about going.
Right.
And that's a decision.
Well, you're also young too, so.
Right. Yeah.
Any health issues, like.
Mm-hmm. But it is, going to those, that being young is an explanation, but it's not an excuse because, preventative care is there's things that maybe you don't know that they can detect, that they can catch early. So it is important if you have the access, if you have the insurance to get you there.
That never happens.
Yeah, well.
When patients come in and they say that they've never been to a doctor in like the last 50 years, they're 100% healthy and there's never going to be anything wrong with them, I promise.
It's one of those things that when I was in the ER, I haven't seen a doctor in 20 years. I'm like, we're going to find so much wrong.
Yeah, every single time.
But, myself, I don't think I had a primary care doctor from age 20 to, I moved here. So probably 20 to 35. But I'm, otherwise young, healthy. Sure, there could have been things going on. But I did have insurance because I was working, and I was in residency for a lot of it, at least a big chunk of that time. But I'm also the cohort who fortunately didn't have anything really seriously wrong going on with me, so it was pretty easy for me to get health care compared to other folks who have medical conditions.
Right.
Especially medical conditions like that are not within your control, contrary to what a lot of popular belief might say. You can just become type 1 diabetic. It just happens, and we don't even fully understand why it happens to some people. But then that means that you will now forever struggle, especially as a young person, unless you have a great job that can afford your insurance, you will then struggle now for any attempts to get primary care.
Way to circle back on adversity, Max. I think that was good. Yep.
And Griffin points out, he has a good point here. He says that insurance wasn't terribly expensive when he was in college, but it did make finances pretty tight. Yeah, even when insurance wasn't that expensive.
Yeah.
It still was. If you're a college student, you're typically not operating on very wide margins. After rent, groceries, and if you weren't an alcoholic, then exactly. Then you probably have some kind of thing you're buying or indulging too much in. But regardless, the preventative medicine was one that surprised me a little bit, but then seemed pretty obvious once I thought about it for more than 30 seconds.
Right. And the other thing is this: in our country, doctors and advanced practice providers who do primary care are not greatly incentivized to do it. They don't get paid as well as other doctors, and if they have a bunch of medical student loans they have to pay back, they are going to have a longer time doing it. And on top of that, on top of not getting reimbursed very well relative to their peers, they also have to like work much harder throughout the day, see more patients, because otherwise insurance companies and their management organizations are yelling at them because you're not bringing in enough money, and then just have this soulless, awful time of it. And the ones who do it and do well and enjoy their day-to-day lives are truly few and far between.
Oddly enough, though, APPs, like nurse practitioners, physician assistants, their income to debt ratio for primary care is way better than physician to debt. Like for a physician, for like income to debt ratio.
Speaking for a me-centric position on this, yes.
Which is why we're seeing so many more APPs in like primary care, because, I mean, like this is there's no way to say this without sounding like a dick, but the breadth of knowledge I feel like needed in primary care for an APP is very on par with what a physician needs, just based on like kind of like like your run-of-the-mill office visits, right? Like most of the stuff is like non-emergent. It's, you know, managing blood pressure, managing diabetes, managing chronic conditions. So a lot of it can be just kind of managed, I think, from an APP standpoint. And I think that's why we're seeing a lot more of that versus other specialties, for sure.
Yeah,
I'm not cheering.
I'm not a primary care provider, so I know a little bit about it, but whether the knowledge gap is narrower there is an interesting question.
It's not that the knowledge gap is narrower. I think it's the practical application of the knowledge is similar, fair. If that makes sense. So that's why I'm saying I'm not trying to like knock a physician. Like,
no, I think
they will always forever be the most educated when it comes to like your healthcare providers. But I think that when it comes to the practical application of it,
what is needed day to day.
Yeah, from like a day-to-day standpoint, that's why you're seeing a lot more APPs going into primary care, because the pay is about the same across most specialties.
Yeah, that's fair.
Actually, Shon, was that a first time boss clear, Shon?
No, she kicked my ass, but I'm gonna have to take a bathroom break.
Have a good time.
I got doctors with me, so it's all good.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Are you taking the camera with you?
Without us?
Yeah.
No. Oh, okay.
Take the mic in with you.
What do you think live stream means, Shon?
And our show's canceled.
And we're all done.
And we're not showing it.
Managed to piss off doctors, and now
it's just
part of the show's gone.
There were a couple of other like kind of strange stats that come out of the study that I did not expect. One was that millennial women tend to have higher rates of major depression, type 2 diabetes, and endocrine conditions, which it's a little surprising to me, only that you just normally hear that men have worse health outcomes. Like women tend to have longer life expectancies. It's a little surprising to me that millennial women are having, and I wonder if some of that is that millennials and the generations coming after are just more aware or more open about reporting those conditions, especially things like depression.
So anytime that you see any study that comes out and says, or any article that comes out and says, oh, there's an increased number in cases of, I don't know, whatever condition you want to use. Let's say like autism is a good example because it's kind of in the news right now with the HHS kind of stuff going on, right? Mm-hmm. So we see increased numbers of autism, and everyone goes, oh, the rates are going up. But you really, on any time you see that, you have to look at it and go, well, why? And then, is it something that we are just screening for more often?
Exactly. Yeah.
We have more testing that we're doing more regularly, so of course we're going to see those numbers go up.
Or we've changed the definition of certain things.
Right. And so you always have to kind of look at it from that standpoint. Like that's always kind of like my first question to ask anytime I see stuff like that. It's like, well, okay, but are we testing for it more? And if the answer is yes, then I go, okay, then I don't really care that number went up necessarily.
Well, and certainly with the major depression thing, women are more likely to go to therapy. Women are more likely to be open about their mental health. So it's not shocking to me that they're going to have higher reported rates of things like depression, because they're going to be the ones who are more likely to be participating in those forms of medicine that would diagnose it. So that isn't terribly shocking to me. The physical ones are a little more surprising to me, but just because generally women tend to have better health outcomes than men. But That was just an interesting little tidbit that I pulled out of that one. And then the last one was, and this isn't very nice, but whatever. The millennials in southern states, particularly Alabama, West Virginia, and Louisiana, are the least healthy, while millennials in western states such as California, Arizona, Nevada, and Colorado are the healthiest. And I just
weird.
And I just I don't know. I mean, just apropos of nothing. It's just a stat. It's just I'm just quoting stats.
Fact checking.
So I was like, okay, I don't want to just base this off of a admittedly private insurance company study. I want more. I want to look for some.
A lot of it is also cultural in a lot of regards. Like, as somebody who sees a lot of the health discrepancies amongst people of different socioeconomic backgrounds, like, you tend to, when you see a kid come in and they're mowing down like Flaming Hot Cheetos and Mountain Dew and they're like 8 years old and they're obese, like, that's not their fault. That is a family thing that is carried down. Because usually if you look at mom and dad, brothers, sisters, aunts, and uncles, you see something very similar. So you kind of have to also look at
live at a lower socioeconomic status, and the cheapest food is that food.
Yeah.
And so, you know, their parents are working minimum wage. The cheapest, easiest thing to do is to buy some fast food and or those things. And high calorie density, it just comes with a cost, and it, you know.
The cheapest and most palatable. Right. Because technically the cheapest food is a giant bag of rice and a giant bag of beans, but that's not.
Yeah, but that also takes time. And if
your kid's not clamoring for it. Yeah, your kid is clamoring for Takis and Nutella.
I clamor for Takis, so I get it.
Same.
It's tough, like, when we were talking about it earlier, it's like a lot of those people are working 2 jobs sometimes to make ends meet. When do you have time to cook a homemade meal? It's kind of like, you can't win.
No,
but go ahead, Max.
I was going to say, and, you know, you look at, I'm somebody who has struggled with weight a lot as a younger person, and over the years, I look back and I'm like, yeah, hey, I was able to lose, at one point in my life, over 100 pounds. Like, I went from 240 pounds down to 140 pounds, like, over a 5-year span. And it was a time in my life where I was young. I had plenty of time to go to a gym. I could focus all my energy on those things, because I wasn't, like, struggling to make ends meet. And I wasn't, like, you know, fabulously wealthy. I just, you know, had good support and parents and good system around me there. I could focus on those things. And now, as somebody who's 42 and I work hard to exercise, I go 3 times a week. I'm really invested in learning more at the gym and doing all those things. I still look back and recognize, I have the resources to do that now and really focus on myself, my nutrition, etc. It takes a fair amount of work, especially when you go to the grocery store and all of our choices are ultra-processed, high-calorie density, things that are cheap, easy, quick to get. I also have the luxury of being able to cook a lot of these meals with, like, my wife, and, you know, we partner in this, and so there's a lot of things going into trying to keep me healthy, and I recognize that a lot of folks who live at different socioeconomic statuses or at just different places in life or different time obligations don't realistically have the time to do that.
Okay, well, mine was just going to be a mean joke that I was going to say before you went on your heartfelt diatribe, so now I don't want to say it.
No, go ahead.
Well, why don't you go ahead and say it?
No, I don't want to now.
Do it.
Okay, I was going to say that this is about millennials, not children, so I don't care about them right now. I'm focused on us. The second article is from Voice of America News. Some of you might recognize Voice of America News as being in the news currently, because Voice of America is a nonpartisan, government-funded news source.
Why did you say that weird?
Which one? Nonpartisan?
Yes.
You said nonpartisan.
Did I say nonpartisan?
Yeah.
Maybe I was thinking of Parmesan cheese. I was getting
hell yeah. Delicious.
Speaking of process.
Sorry, I looked at chat right now.
I did too. I was laughing at the chat.
Sorry, but VOA is a non-Parmesan, government-funded news source. It ranks as highly credible and balanced bias on fact-checker sites. Oh, did I say that's what they are? That's what they were. Because they have since ceased publication due to a funding cutoff from the current administration.
Okay.
Oh, weird.
Just a fun fact that doesn't make my blood boil in the slightest.
It sounds like the synopsis there is like this news source is way more reputable than I thought based on its name.
I thought the same thing. So when I first saw the name, I was like, oh, I don't like that. And then I started reading about it. I was like, oh, it's that one. It's the one that I had seen in the news that got shut down that was really reliable. Anyways, sorry. Sometimes you got to point out things that just make you sad, because this was it was a government-funded thing that was providing a non-partisan, by its nature, a non-partisan news source that is now shut down, which is
non-parmesan.
A non-parmesan news source. Well, actually, if it was non-parmesan, then I don't want it anyway. Get it out of here. But they pointed out some key contributors to declining life. I shouldn't be laughing during this part. I was reading chat. That's what happened. Key contributors to declining life expectancy for millennials, things like heart disease, cancer. COVID-19 obviously was a big one. This one was post-pandemic. And then Corbin brought it up earlier, but drug overdoses. Drug overdoses. This was in, I think the year was 2021 on this one.
2021 and 2022, we saw the first decrease in, first significant decrease in population and life expectancy, and it was due to fentanyl and drug overdoses. I think it corrected in 23, and then last year I think it also improved. But 2021 and 2022, we saw huge drops.
Yeah. Well, and related to that, there were more than, it doesn't sound like a lot, but the rates were more than 30 per 100,000 people were dying from drug overdoses. And that rate has been increasing since 2001, which is the last year that the rate was less than 10 per 100,000. So the rate has more than tripled over the course of that 20 years. So it doesn't sound like a lot when we're talking about 10 per 100,000 or 30 per 100,000, but it is a massive increase, at least percentage-wise. So, and the overdose deaths have an outsized effect on life expectancy because victims are disproportionately young. So it's certainly a contributing factor when it comes to millennials having a lowered life. I gotta stop looking at chat. I'm laughing at really inappropriate times when I'm trying to.
You let me worry about the chat.
I know, but I just keep glancing and. Some kind of wrap-up stats on this stuff. Women, this was what I was referencing earlier, women still tend to live around, have an expectancy of about 6 more years than men. So, good job, fellas. Way to keep those numbers low. The U.S. is actually lagging behind other nations also.
Shocker.
I know, what a surprise. I'm going to say this title. This is an insane title, but she sounded important, so I'm going to roll with it. This is a quote from the VOA article. This is Noreen Goldman, the Hughes Rogers Professor of Demography and Public Affairs at the Princeton University School of Public and International Affairs.
Affairs is in there twice.
It is.
She put that in there. She put it in there by osmosis.
She osmosed affairs. She's quoted in the article as saying it's absolutely a public health failure and a political failure. The lack of public health infrastructure in the U.S. compared to other nations we're not exactly saying anything novel there.
Did they find anything in common with all those other nations that had better outcomes and life expectancy? Is there anything different about those nations than our nation?
Massively improved public health infrastructure.
Okay.
Yes.
So that they had one.
They didn't go into that. This was more of a discussion of what the U.S. was lacking. They didn't go into the improved health infrastructure. But I mean,
you want to know what that lack of infrastructure is?
National healthcare system.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's not hard to. Yeah, it's not exactly hard to figure out what they're referencing there. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I was looking at some other stats kind of related to this, and so one of the things I came up with here was that if you compare a bunch of different demographics in the U.S. and like other nations, like the one article you sent, like the U.S. life expectancy dropping to the lowest in a generation is horrifying. And then you compare it to other wealthy industrialized nations like Europe, right? It's not only that our life expectancy is low, even as millennials, but like general U.S. life expectancy is worse and getting worse. It's getting worser.
Yeah. I think then we're down to like 73.
Well, so I mean, looking at like Sweden, Switzerland, Belgium, France, they all saw their life expectancy come right back to pre-pandemic levels in 2021.
Right.
Other countries, the UK, Portugal, Austria, Italy, Netherlands, Spain, Slovenia, Iceland, all had recovered some, but not all their lost life expectancy. And then if you look at like what was it, all the wealthy European countries that posted 2 back-to-back declines, Germany, through its like combined fall in life expectancy, was less than 1 year in total, was like way smaller than the U.S. So all these countries that had these setbacks they were all so far below the U.S.'s backward step in life expectancy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in all these countries have universal, some form of universal health care.
Yeah, the article references that there's a high politicization of healthcare related issues in the U.S., which is just another. It's just another thing that we can't stop fighting about, which is pretty upsetting that we can't come together on something that should be. I mean, it should be something that we all want, right? Like I don't know.
I'll never understand the arguments against it because none of them actually ever make any sense, other than just American selfishness, and that's really what it boils down to, and corporate greed. But...
Well, yeah, but that's
American selfishness.
Now that we brought, go ahead, Shon.
No, say American selfishness, same thing. You know, corporate greed, American selfishness.
Well, no. Like those are two different things. Like one argument that I constantly hear when it comes to why a universal healthcare system is not ideal is people saying, well, okay, if you're going to be sick and in the hospital, like, why should I have to pay for that? Like, why can't I just pay for myself? And that's what I mean about the like American selfishness, because it has nothing to do with, that's not the corporate part. But through the corporate part of it, through lobbying and legislation and trying to convince those same people that are selfish about it that they're correct, then we are stuck in this like third party, essentially where we're forced to pay a middleman just to get access to healthcare, which is fucking stupid. It doesn't make any sense at all.
There's a reason that I can't tell you how to care about other people was a trending thing on social media for a while, because it is a frustrating thing that to try to explain that. But even then, when they talk about, you know, you don't want to pay for somebody else in the hospital, you don't want you're paying for it one way or another.
I was gonna say you absolutely would be paying for it, because all your premiums are gonna go up because of the way the risk pools are tilted. And here's the problem: if you live in a society of people and human beings that have neat bodies that fall apart and do things that do not work optimally, sometimes at random, then taking part in that society means that you take care of all the health of that society, and so that if you exist there, you should have access to healthcare. Which means that you shouldn't have access to healthcare if you're healthy enough to afford it, or it's tied to your job, and your job is healthy enough to afford it. You should just have it. And the mind-blowing thing that's sometimes hard for people to wrap their minds around. I'm speaking as a physician. I exist in this system, and I hate it. I hate the way that it's run. So all I want to do is just take care of people and not have to worry about ruining their finances. But the fact of the matter is you can't. If you live in a society, we all have to pay for each other's healthcare. It's just how it works. And that healthcare doesn't have to be profitable. It just has to be a societal good. And for all those people that say, I don't want to pay for these other people, I want to pay for myself, etc., as Brandon said, you will be paying for those people when your premiums go up, and we all share this horrible structure that incentivizes profiteering off those sick people. And so wouldn't you rather have, yes, it comes out of your taxes if you live in Europe. You pay less than we pay in private insurance, by far. And then you get better outcomes. There's nothing not to like there.
I did go down the rabbit hole one night and was looking into, and this was the results, or what sparked this like dive into it was a political debate on social media that I got into, and talking about healthcare outcomes and why we should have a socialized system. And in 2023, Americans paid $4.9 trillion in healthcare costs. $4.9 trillion with a T in healthcare costs. The estimated cost of having a socialized healthcare system in the United States is like, I think either 2.9 or $3 trillion. So we essentially,
I'm gonna see if I can find those numbers. That'd be interesting to look at.
Almost doubled that.
And Shon,
and
whose fault is this?
We could literally not pay any more in taxes and just pay what we're paying now, have a universal healthcare system. On top of that, we could cover the cost of a universal education system. And I think have some money left over, if I remember right.
Sorry, Brandon, what'd you ask?
I said, whose fault is this? It's a single-digit numbers fault, if you ask me.
Yeah, exactly.
But
let's see. I'm
now
looking
we
at
brought
numbers.
the mood.
Let me distill this, and I'll get back to you.
Now we brought the mood nice and low. I didn't want to just talk about the problem, and I didn't want to just talk about these are the facts as they are. So what can be done? Just a quick disclaimer here: we're not providing healthcare advice. To be clear, but there are some things that you can do that will assist in promoting better health. And I put on here right away, if you can afford it, trying to get a primary care provider is a good thing. Working on being able to practice preventative medicine is going to be. There's a reason that the old saying of an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. That's a truism that I've always found. If you get ahead of these things, it's better. So if you can, try to get a primary care provider. Same thing when it comes to if there's mental health issues, explore therapy options. I know there's a variety of free hotlines, and I know that more jobs are providing versions of mental health of healthcare. I think like BetterHelp and things like that are becoming more prevalent. So there are options. So don't be afraid to explore those. I know that mental health was a stigmatized thing, but it's getting better. We're moving more towards that being something that we talk about more in society. Trying to exercise for your cardiovascular health and reducing obesity. Max mentioned it with his earlier. I've also had a weight struggle most of my life. Mine was, it was just lifestyle stuff. It was throughout high school. I didn't put on a lot of weight, but it was the diet was 90% fast food. Then when I went to college, I packed on the pounds pretty hard. And then as of recently, I had, Griffin says mental health was honestly stigmatized until maybe a decade or less ago. I'd say less than a decade ago that we really started talking about it. But as far as your physical health goes, I got over, my highest weight that I ever reached was 315 pounds. And that's a healthy weight if I'm like 8'6". Unfortunately, I'm a gentleman's 5'10", so not a great weight to be at. And I was I was able to lie to myself because my numbers were coming back decent, like my blood tests, but I was starting to experience anything like high cholesterol. Was my first real health tick there, and it was a wake up call. That first real doctor talking about maybe blood pressure medications are in the future, maybe cholesterol medications are in the future. And so I've been working on turning it around, and we're down about 30 pounds. Well, 40 pounds from 315. So we're making progress, but a long ways to go. But you don't need to be. I'm in the gym 4 to 5 days a week, but it's because I like it. And it doesn't have to be the gym. If you can get some form of exercise, 3 to 4 times a week, half an hour, whether it's going for walks, whether it's walking your dog, whether it's playing some kind of sports with a friend. These are all things that you can do that are forms of exercise that are, if not free, are extremely cost effective, and they'll, put years on your life. It's helpful. I know it's not. The gym can be an uncomfortable place for a lot of people, and I completely understand that. But find something that
do something you enjoy doing.
Correct. Yeah, that's a big one.
It's
yeah. I tend to
10,000 steps, doing going for something like that. You got to find an exercise you enjoy.
I think you should just start right with ultra marathons and
want to work your way down from there, because what you do is the hardest thing first, and then that way as you lose weight it gets easier.
Because as we learned from the first segment, if you don't experience adversity, then you're not going to appreciate the gains that you made, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So you have to go and suffer with ultra marathons first.
And then if you have a sedentary job, if you can explore options like a standing desk or taking some walk breaks during the day, being seated for 8 hours a day also tends to be correlated with some health issues. So if you can do something to kind of break that up and give yourself a break from just being seated all day. And I understand, again, that this is all if you can afford these things and if these are viable for your job. These are just ideas, not trying to say these are musts, but they're just ideas that could possibly help. Anybody else in the group have anything they'd like to contribute on that front?
No, just to make things more complicated. I think there's some studies coming out that suggest that standing desks are potentially harmful.
Oh, well, don't ever use a standing desk.
Yeah, Brandon, jeez.
I do want to circle back super quick to one thing I was about to say, just to put a pin in it for another time, but I was looking at some numbers to maybe get, back up how much less would it cost to do some of these things. There's definitely a lot more research that I would have to do to feel at all confident in the numbers. Right. But I did find a study from, where is this? This is the improving the prognosis of healthcare in the U.S., and that was a manuscript, something Lancet. I don't know. I've never heard of it, but
the Lancet's a medical journal.
Yeah, I know. I was saying it's a Lancet.
It's a very prominent medical journal.
Yeah, so Lancet's one of the oldest and most prominent medical journals.
But you're being a silly boy. I'm sorry.
I was being a silly boy.
You were being silly. I was like, what the? How does he not know what the hell the Lancet is? I'm gonna mute my mic again.
But the bottom line for Medicare for All here was through the mechanisms detailed above, and there's a lot of stuff above it that I read. We predict that a single-payer healthcare system would require $3.034 trillion annually. That's $458 billion less than current national healthcare expenditure. So certainly a savings and probably an improvement, but there's more to be read there.
You didn't
maybe the answer to helping our societal ills is to push for those things.
Oh, well.
That's hard to do, though. Might be
Shon, you look like you could use a little healthcare right now, buddy. How you doing?
Yeah, I got extra life, so not terrible. But
okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
I had to pay for that,
It's the other thing that I found is it would come down to essentially in America we pay, I think right around $12,500 each year for healthcare costs. That's when you take up the entire total that we pay and then break that up amongst every citizen. We're looking at right around $12,500, right? And the next closest in healthcare expenditures is Germany, and I think the last figures I saw was roughly $7,000 per person per year. And so we are almost double, very close to double what the next closest country is, developed nation behind us in expenditures. But they rank, I think Germany ranks in the top 6 for healthcare healthcare outcomes worldwide. And so it's another great example of just because you're spending more doesn't mean that anything's better. And so and I think the other figures I saw, something like 40% of everything that we spend on healthcare goes to the insurance company. That is part of their take, is 40% of that. And so that's another example of just why that system does not work and why it's broken. We're just shelling out money for, well, that too. But most of it goes to insurance, and then I wouldn't be surprised if administrators was the next.
I would guess that would be probably the next thing. Yeah.
It's up there.
Yep.
Well, there's a...
Not that we actually know anything about that at all. He's never had to deal with hospital administration. He's never had to worry about metrics in the ER.
Not once.
Not a numbers profession at all. Well, okay. So, did we solve that problem, or...?
We got to the point of, we understand that there are some causes leading to that decreased life expectancy. That
why are millennials dying? I forgot. That was we went field, but it sounds like
fentanyl. We decided it was fentanyl.
The drug overdoses is a big one. There are metabolic and cardiovascular and endocrine conditions.
Increased prevalence of. Okay, yeah.
But there are things that we can push back against that we don't necessarily need to, I understand that it's difficult. I understand that some of these things there are roadblocks in the way, but as I've heard it described before, some of these things are an explanation. They're not an excuse. There are things that you can work on, that you can improve, and it is easier for some people. I don't deny that. But just because something's difficult doesn't mean that it's an excuse not to.
I broke it again.
So yeah, hell yeah, Shon, that a boy. So
I don't think
some
you're
of
supposed to be there, Matt. No.
So if there are things in your own life
John's
that
in
you
the
can
building.
improve, healthcare wise, put a premium on that if you can. Try to work on that stuff. It's gonna be, you're gonna feel better. You're gonna live better. It's gonna be good. For you.
Good job. Fix it.
It will help. It will help things.
I'm getting tired of you big bullies.
All right. Well,
Time to wrap this up.
so I think we're rounding third here.
So what
We are.
do we need to do to make ourselves live forever, Brandon? What'd you find?
I just went
Stem
through all of the
cells.
solutions like 5 minutes ago.
Straight to the
I'm not
end.
doing it again.
No, but to live forever, like that.
Forever.
You just said walk more. That's not gonna make me live forever.
Oh, well, Shon, you don't know that.
Yeah.
Wait, didn't we? What was the protein folding? I think we need to
Telomeres.
fold more protein into our shakes. I
Oh,
think.
right. We
yes,
need more telomeres. How do we get more
Yeah,
telomeres?
Yeah, you need
Gotta
a
get
you need
the
a
quantum
longer
computers
telomere
up.
among other things.
I need.
Hmm.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Braid your telomeres like they're braids, hair, and then, we'll live forever.
Wait,
Exactly,
are you
then they
beating this
won't-
boss? What's happening? Are they running away?
With bulls, but a
Yeah.
lot dumber.
Sean's whooping him.
Electric boogaloo.
I
Sean's
figure we
beating up
have
on,
a nice
Bebop
palate
Rock
cleansing
City.
topic to finish this out if
Well,
you guys are ready.
if did it talk about like cryogenics and freezing our brains like Walt Disney to be reanimated later when we have universal healthcare?
We're gonna get uploaded into computers before too long, aren't we?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
In
Oh
difference.
God.
And then we can all be robots in the manufacturing facilities.
Technically,
We can-
we're already like robots, right?
Yeah.
We're a brain inside of a mech skeleton or a skeleton mech with meat armor. Is how it was described.
Max is trying to cleanse our palates, and you want
And
to talk
died.
about being in the Matrix.
I
I
want to
also
talk
want to
about
remember
being
what those
a
little
mech.
robots were called. The ones like the Jaws. What were they called?
Oh,
Mousers.
Nicholas,
Lucky day.
Mousers.
That's right.
you got
Mousers.
this, don't you? Mausers, yes, good call. Okay, never mind. Sean's got it. I didn't mean to disrespect you, Sean. I'm sorry. I just know that my brother has an incredibly
Don't ask the
powerful
g-
childhood
Don't
memory.
ask the guy playing the game.
My bad, my bad. So, Max, I'm going to toss to you here because we're playing a game about saving Master Splinter, and as I understand it, you have a very tangentially related article.
It's
might-
yeah. I mean, it's. I don't really know how I ended up with this article. It comes from the AFP, which I don't know what the
It's
AFP
American
is.
Foreign
It's-
Press.
Yeah, probably. I think that's probably what it is. It doesn't. I don't know if it matters because this isn't like a high stakes topic here. But I just want to let you guys know that there is a rat that earned the world record for sniffing landmines in Cambodia. Master
Yes.
Splinter,
Excellent.
indeed. So
Was
And
was its name Master Splinter?
no, but
It's- that
pretty
would've been
close
fucking
actually.
awesome.
His name is Ronin. Is that?
Okay, so
giant-
Pretty cool.
That's
It's amazing. He's a giant African pouched rat. And do you know what the record is for landmine detection from a rat? How many
but-
landmines do you think?
let's go ranges. Sean, what do you think the landmine detection is? The record for an African giant pouched rat.
I'm feeling it's something ridiculous if it's going to be in an article somewhere. So it's going to be like,
I'm impressed.
I'm
if
gonna
he
go
finds
with-
one. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Are we gonna go with Price is Right rules?
so
Closest without going
oh
over.
yeah, I like that.
we're trying to decide how many lines this specific rat found.
Yep. How many
Right.
specific landmines did this Ronin? This
Well, you know what? With it being about a week away, I'm gonna go with 420.
Sean,
690.
I'm gonna go with Patrick Waugh, 33.
It was 109. So
Okay.
you
So
guys have
nobody
a lot
wins.
of confidence in this. Somebody's got to follow this thing around and dig these up. I mean, there's going to be a time limit on how many of these you can
That's
grab.
a lot of mines.
It's a lot of
109.
landmines for a rat. I think these rats live like a year or two. I don't know.
Actually, Jacob won. Jacob got
5-year-old.
69, so Jacob is correct.
Nice.
Excellent cake up.
Yep.
So yeah,
Nice.
5-year-old Ronin. I guess they live. African giant rats apparently live a little longer than I thought.
Did it say the time? Like how long it took him to, or is this over his life?
I believe this is over his life. It says that his exceptional accomplishments have earned him the Guinness World Records title for most landmines detected by a rat. Sad that has to be a record, just as an aside, but, you know, this is the world we live in. He did beat the previous record, which was held by Hiro Rodent Magawa, who found only 71 landmines. And
Hiro Rodent Magawa, that's an anime. It's got to be an anime.
Yeah, that one did it in 5 years, too, so it seems like 5 years is their kind of working lifespan.
Was that one Rurouni Kenshin? It sounds like a character from that.
Yeah. So they're averaging 20 landmines a year. That's more than I find.
Not bad.
Yeah.
It says that Ronan might have 2 more years of detection work ahead of him, so like that record is getting pushed further away.
So I'm a little surprised that the African giant, well, it says the Gambian pouched rat, 2.2 to 3.1 pounds. That doesn't seem that giant to me.
I mean,
it's a rat.
I get it.
How big do you want it to be?
Like, I wanted a Shiba size. I wanted a 15-pound rat.
I think that's called a fucking muskrat or a beaver or a capybara.
I'm sorry. That's a giant like Giant Gonzalez was a giant. Like, it's pretty big. Not a giant.
No selling the rats.
Is that what you say to ladies too, Brandon?
No.
It's pretty big.
I say, let me explain.
Hold on, have I ever told you about the Guinness World Record?
I have a great personality.
I'm gonna say I was like, oh, let me keep diving into this article and find the other funny tidbits, and I'm gonna stop right there because it starts talking about why there are so many landmines in Cambodia and what they do to people every year. And so
we're gonna pull
up the nose of that aircraft real quick and just appreciate
that palate cleanser turned sour real quick.
Now, hold on. Let's circle back on this. No. Do they have a socialized healthcare system?
Circle back.
I don't know.
Oh, well, then maybe, hopefully they do.
Let's circle even farther back.
Like, without going into detail, it's not the reason there's tragedy in this article. It's different. It's very different. But hey, how about that for Ronan, right?
Let's hear it for Ronan.
Good job, Ronan.
Good job, Ronan.
Yeah.
Circling even farther back, an enduring all-time song that everybody knows, Holiday in Cambodia, Will Live Forever.
Oh, classic.
Yeah.
Classic. It's actually, the song was probably written about the time that this civil war was happening in Cambodia that led to all the landmines.
Is that your
probably
karaoke song, Brandon?
Oh, definitely. Mr. Biafra is an easy one to to mimic.
Right.
No, Brandon doesn't. Brandon doesn't
do we have
do karaoke
anything else
anymore.
to broach tonight, or are we getting towards the end?
I think we're getting close to the wind down period. Shon, how we doing?
I actually think I just broke the game because it froze on me.
There you go.
Oh, I guess that's
legit. Like I can't do anything.
Were you in the middle of a shop, or was that the end of a run?
Oh, it crashed. It definitely crashed. Yeah.
Crashed. Well, that's one way Shon to dip out.
The game just Irish goodbye us. That's amazing.
It's seriously.
Yeah, totally
It was like, you boys are done.
It's like you guys are done. I went to go pick a new artifact. It was like, nope, you're done. I was like, okay.
All right. Well, I mean, we learned a lot tonight. We
sure did.
Quite a few different things. We learned to live a life full of pain and fulfillment.
We got away from your goofy magic medicine articles that you always want to talk about, and we talked about something real, like a hard science, like philosophy.
Yep, we went right back into medicine, though, didn't we?
Well, you dragged me there, kicking and screaming.
I believe you picked the articles.
Shon, what did you think about that game? Did you enjoy your game?
It was fun. There's some definitely bullshittery in there.
Yeah.
Some bouncing issues. Like, oh man, we need some patches on this.
Here's an interesting question.
Did you
it was fun,
experience adversity throughout that game, Shon?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you are more enlightened for experiencing that adversity?
I don't know. I feel more motivated to do stuff now.
Do you feel more fulfilled with life because of that adversity?
Maybe. I'll have to sit down and think about it.
Shon, you have a fan in chat.
Oh, I did.
Keiko would like to talk to you, Shon.
He has something important to present. Well, Keiko's getting ready to...
I think he's going to go JD Vance's couch.
You know,
and
don't get me wound up. because I will adverse all over it.
For
any
any of the
couch
viewers
anyone
ever that
lays
watch
on.
this and wonder why couches get Shon so upset, there's no way to explain it. So we just need to push past it.
What you'll have to do is you'll have to watch the stream long enough to become our real life friend. And the first step to doing that is once we get a Patreon will be to give us money. And once you start doing that, we'll consider being your friend.
Shout out Blue Chew.
But
We're not supposed
do you take the Blue Chew before going to the couch?
We'll have to ask someone.
Okay.
Is that? Are we trying to get a sponsorship now? I mean, I'm not going to deny it. We got to start somewhere, but
we're trying to get a couch sponsorship, not a Blue Chew sponsorship.
Oh my goodness!
Why not both? Why not both?
Right, we need somebody to adjourn this.
It's been a pleasure, gentlemen. Chat, thank you all so much for being here, participating, for being part of our incredibly smart. Oh, hi, Nibs. That's Nibs.
Nibs, baby kitty, say bye.
Goodbye, baby kitty.
Oh, hold on.
Wait, cats.
Henry's asleep. I'm not going to bug Henry.
Shon, thank you for playing the game tonight. Oh, Guinness.
Say goodnight.
Oh, Guinness. Hi, Guinness. Guinness, want some food?
Corbin, thank you for keeping an eye on chat, keeping him in line. Max, thank you for fact checking.
He is a thickums. Jacob.
Mm-hmm.
He sure is.
Big black thickums.
Y'all have a good night. Thanks for the support. Thanks for the love out in chat. And next time you should bring some cats with you.
Well,
more cats.
More cats. All right, everybody have a good night. Next stream, we should raid somebody out. I'm too tired to do it now.
Well, if there was somebody else playing the Turtles game, we would have. But
there was a few. But
I know they all left.
We'll raid them next time.
They're all intimidated by him.
Surprise raid people. Just any game, doesn't matter what it is. Is that how that
you
works?
gotta earn? You gotta earn your spot getting rated by the best.
I don't know what's the etiquette on that. I think it can be frowned upon, but it can be good. We'll find out later. Everybody have a good night.
Trial by fire.
Meeting adjourned.